Hi, and welcome to this week's tip for AI trailblazers from Demystify. Today, we're going to talk about different AI tools and how to evaluate them and pick the right toolbox for your organization. So, one thing I like to start off with is really talking about the different options that are out there. I really do believe that you should be focusing on one of the core three players as your primary hub AI model that you use as an organization, whether that's ChatGPT, Gemini, or Claude, which is obviously Anthropic's LLM, are really those three core, what I'll call cornerstone platforms that your organization should have. I typically lean towards OpenAI due to the ability to have a Teams account, which is about 25 a month if you pay annually, and you'll have to have at least two users. But what that allows you to do is first and foremost protect your data as it pertains to it training a larger model, as well as really kind of protect you from indemnities as it pertains to whether that model was trained on data that was protected through intellectual property rights. Gemini also has a lot of great features. I do find that their privacy policies are a little bit more vague than OpenAI's. So I typically kind of recommend more moving towards ChatGPT and OpenAI. And Claude, which is Anthropic's LLM, and Opus, which is really the highest performing one, is really incredible when it comes to writing, but doesn't have the full capabilities of the custom GPTs, data analysis, image generation that you get with ChatGPT or Gemini. So when you have one of those core platforms, I do recommend making a annual contract. Now, for all of your other platformer tools, whether that's Midjourney, which is something that I keep in my rotation on a regular basis, to different wrapper technologies like Waldo, which is a business analytics and insights tool, or some type of SEO AI tool. And what I found is those should really be month to month, right? As we continue to see these larger frontier models like OpenAI and Gemini really push the boundaries and include new features in their rollouts, you don't want to be stuck in two annual contracts. The other thing that I found to be really helpful is when you look at these kind of additional tools that you have in your arsenal, make sure that you're understanding what it's doing and really try to analyze, is there a way for me to create actually an even more personalized version of what's happening here in a custom GPT, or as Google's rolling out the gems, creating your own assistant that can do the same functionality that you were getting with the wrapper, but all wrapped into one tool. And the reason why I mentioned this is, as an organization, I would really recommend trying to keep your tool set under five, maybe seven at most. As you think about regulating and maintaining security among your users and your team members, the more tools you have, the more liability and risk that you're opening yourself up to. Now, there are a few questions as you're evaluating the tools that I think are really important. One is, what does success look like, and how will AI tools solve your challenge or achieve your goal? I think this is really important to do even before signing up for a trial or putting in your credit card. Oftentimes, we'll find demos of AI tools that look way better and are really perfect for exactly what we need. But when we get into it, it's really not performing in what we need for our specific use cases. The other one is there any onboarding support or any training materials? So much of your success as an organization and using AI is based on your ability to kind of push this through from a change management perspective and get your team members on board. And a lot of this stuff is very new, right? And so there aren't, a ton of YouTube videos, or there's not a lot of resources out there. So really making sure you have that is really important. Obviously, if you're an organization, your data, especially now as AI is continuing to evolve, is probably your most important asset. And so one of the things you really want to make sure is, how is your data that you're uploading and leveraging to utilize those tools being used? Is it being used to optimize your experience for your users and your kind of walled off garden? Or is it being used to train the overarching model? The other thing I would also think about is, oftentimes these things look really great on an individual level, but think about, how does this change as we scale? Are there sharing properties? One of the things I really liked about and continue to like about ChatGPT is the ability to share custom GPTs across an organization. And last but not least, one thing I think is really important is really asking some questions around integrations and APIs. When we talk about change management and the importance of that and these AI tools, one thing you should really be thinking about is there a way to integrate this tool into something my organization is already familiar with, right? We oftentimes used a number of different note-taking tools until Zoom rolled out. with their own AI network or AI tool that helps with note taking and actually user performance and things of that nature, speaker performance. And one of the things is, yeah, it might not be exactly what I was looking for in terms of it lacks in some qualities, but my team is already really familiar with that platform. I'm already paying for that subscription and I can reduce my costs. I think one thing as you look at your overall your toolbox for your AI tools, really continue to evaluate that on a quarterly basis. It can get really, really easy to disappear, and 40 a month here, $30 a month here can really add up when you have 17 tools and 30 employees. So just something to be mindful. And I hope these tips help you. If you haven't started building your arsenal, I would say first and foremost, start with one of the core three. I oftentimes always use and always have open ChatGPT, Perplexity, and Opus from Claude or Anthropic. And those are my core three. And that's what I use every day and day in and day out. So start small and don't overtake those things.